the flavor of home. สวัสดีค่ะ Welcome to Hot Thai Kitchen. When I started Hot Thai Kitchen way back in 2009, there was no question in my mind what the first video was going to be. It had to be Tom Yum Goong, Thailand's famous hot and sour soup. Aside from the fact that it's just beloved all around the world, I thought that it really captures what Thai cuisine is all about. It's got the sweet, salty, sour, spicy balance that Thai cuisine is famous for. It's got the aromas of all the iconic herbs of Thai cuisine. It makes you sweat, it makes you smile. It is basically Thailand in a bowl. Now, my Tom Yum Goong recipe has been a Hot Thai Kitchen classic from day one, and today I am so excited to give it an update, a 4K facelift with new tips and tricks to make it even better. And at the end, I will also show you how to eat Tom Yum Goong like a Thai. And in case you're not familiar, Tom Yum is a spicy and sour soup that is common all over Thailand. People make it at home, you can find it in restaurants. We even have all kinds of Tom Yum flavored snacks you can find at 7-Eleven. I mean, Tom Yum is a flavor that Thai people absolutely love. You can make Tom Yum with all kinds of protein, and I have many kinds of Tom Yum on the website if you want to check them out. But no question, the number one most popular kind of Tom Yum is Tom Yum Goong, or Tom Yum with shrimp. And let's get started with said shrimp. I'm going to start by making a shrimp stock, and using shrimp stock will maximize the shrimpy flavor of the soup. If you prefer something a little more neutral, a little less shrimpy, you can use a good unsalted chicken stock instead. Either case though, you need a good stock as the base because your soup will really be as good as the quality of your stock. If you're going to go ahead and use shrimp stock, then what you're going to need is shell-on, head-on shrimp, which you can get at most Asian markets. If you can't get head-on, at the very least, shell-on will also work. And this is how you make a shrimp stock. Remove the head by giving it a twist and then add that to a stock pot. And now I'm going to show you how to peel, devein, and butterfly the shrimp all in one go. With scissors, ideally pointy, insert it into the middle of the shrimp, and then you can just cut the shell all the way through to the end. Peel the shell off and add that to the stock pot as well. The back will now be butterflied in the process, so all you need to do is remove the veins. Usually I do this over the sink so I can just rinse off the veins from my hand. Butterflying makes the shrimp look prettier when cooked and reduce their cooking time, but if you don't want to butterfly them, you can just peel them as per usual and then use my satisfying toothpick trick to devein them. And I'll link to that video with that trick in the description below. With all of our shells and heads in a pot, we're going to head to the stove. I'm going to add a little bit of oil, and then as an option, you can add some finely chopped daikon and or onion, which will add natural sweetness to the broth. Saute this on medium-high heat, and as you go, just press on the shrimp heads to get the tamale to come out, because that is the tasty part. Tamale is what we call shrimp fat in Thai. I call it shrimp foie gras, and it's going to add a lot of shrimpy flavor to the broth. Once you start to see the bottom of the pot start to brown, and it should smell amazing at this point, you add the water before the stuff that sticks burns. Bring the water to a boil and then let it simmer for 5 minutes, which is all it takes to get good flavor out of shrimp shells. When you're done, scoop out the shells and discard. The bits of veggies, you don't have to scoop that out. They're delicious. You can leave them in there. And then I'm going to measure the amount of stock that I have because you want to end up with about 4 cups of stock. If you have a little bit more, it's fine. But if you have less, just add a little more water to make up the shortfall. Starting with the precise amount of stock will make the seasoning stage easier for you. And now for the 3 most important ingredients, the herbs responsible for Tom Yum's iconic flavor: lemongrass, galangal, and makrut lime leaves, which I also call the Tom Yum Trinity. Now, you do need all 3 for the complete flavor of Tom Yum, okay? You can't just have 2. Lemongrass has a lemony aroma, but not at all fruity like a lemon. It's more grassy. Galangal has a cooling, sort of pine foresty aroma, not at all similar to ginger and cannot be substituted with ginger. If someone tells you otherwise, please walk away from them. And then finally, makrut lime leaves are The flavor, the aroma is reminiscent of lime zest, but again, less fruity and more herbaceous. And to get an FAQ out of the way, no, you cannot use regular lime leaves or lemon leaves. Instead, they're not aromatic, so you have to use magroot lime leaves for this. Now, if you can get them all fresh, great, but frozen is also totally fine. And in the written recipe post, I'll include further information about where to buy them, how to store them, and substitutes, and so on and so forth. All right, let's get prepping. First, the lemongrass. I'm only going to use the bottom half for this recipe because that's where the flavor is most concentrated. I'm going to cut off the root end and then smash it either with the back of your knife or even better, a pestle to open up the cells so the aromas can come out, and then cut it into big chunks. Now the top half has weaker flavor, so you can discard it if you want, or you can remove the dry bits and freeze the rest for making stock. If you have no use for them, you can also just throw them into the soup as a bonus. For the magroot lime leaves, all you need to do is grab them in your hands and twist and tear them into chunks to bruise the leaves and release the aroma, and then you can also move any large center ribs. Now for our last herb, the galangal. Now usually I have a fresh one to show you, but I couldn't find a fresh one anywhere, so I thought I would show you what to do if all you can find is a frozen whole galangal. This is something I normally avoid because when it's frozen solids, it's impossible to cut. It's really hard. And then if you let it thaw, it can turn mushy and then it leaks out all the flavorful juices and it just turns chewy and messy. But a Patreon member in our Discord shared a tip that what he does is you let it partially thaw. For this size, about 10 to 15 minutes. It's going to depend on the thickness, obviously. And then it's kind of, once it's partially thawed, you can slice it relatively easily without losing juices. You want to put the slices in a bowl immediately because it'll continue to thaw. And then you can put the rest in the freezer, or you can just slice everything and then freeze the slices for next time. And I'll include information on how to freeze the slices in the blog post linked below. But as you can see here, it is pretty easy. And as you get further in, it becomes a little harder because it's more frozen solid in the middle. So, it is not ideal, but if this is all you've got to work with, it still works. And then of course you can go from either end. Okay, like it's getting a little hard on that side. Let's work on this side. And then you can just work your way in through the middle, right? This is a little bit harder because it's thicker, but it works. That's enough. That's all I need. And by the way, this recipe, being one of the most popular Thai recipes, is of course a part of my new ebook, which has 25 of the most popular classic Thai recipes. I wanted to make this the easiest way, most convenient way for you to cook from my recipes without having to go online and without any ads. And each recipe is linked directly to my YouTube video tutorial, so you don't have to go searching if you need it. So check it out at the link below, and thank you in advance for your support of Hot Thai Kitchen. All right, let's make the soup. So I've got my shrimp stock here, which I'm bringing to a boil, or whatever stock you're using, chicken stock. By the way, you can also just use neutral flavored pork stock, even fish stock will work, whatever kind of stock that you prefer for this, okay? Now, in addition to our 3 Tom Yum Trinity, you also need some chilies. So I've got here some Thai chilies that I've pounded into a mortar and pestle because I don't want any big chunks that people will accidentally eat. This is supposed to be a spicy soup, so add as much as you want. But if you can't eat super spicy, 1 chili is also fine. Make it a little bit spicy, okay? Stock is boiling now. Our Tom Yum Trinity goes in. And then the chilies. Oh, the seeds. Very important point. The herbs in this form, the lemongrass, galangal, and lime leaves, are not supposed to be eaten. In this chunky form, they're way too chewy, way too tough. They're added for infusion purposes only. In Thailand, we leave them in because they look nice and we all know not to eat them. But if you're serving non-Thai guests, they definitely will not, well, they most likely will not know that these things are not supposed to be eaten, and they will probably try to eat them, and it's going to be awkward and embarrassing. So either you tell them or you remove the herbs before serving. And if you're going to do that, it's easier to wrap them all in a cheesecloth so you can move everything all together at the end. Okay? Now, I'm also going to add mushrooms. So in Thailand, oyster mushrooms or straw mushrooms are typical. I'm emotionally attached to oyster mushrooms because that's the mushrooms used in the tom yum that I ate growing up as a kid. So that's what I'm gonna add. In that goes, and then the mushrooms can cook alongside the herbs because mushrooms don't overcook, so they can be there as long as we need them to be. And we'll let the herbs simmer for about 5 minutes. Meanwhile, let's talk seasoning. Seasonings. We've got salty, sour, and sweet. Salty is coming from fish sauce, sour is coming from fresh lime juice, and sweet is going to be a combination between sugar and Thai chili paste, or nam prik pao, comes in a jar like this. Now, it's very important in tom yum goong because like it's going to add a very unique sort of sweet savory flavor that you associate tom yum goong with. Having said that, tom yum goong or tom yum with shrimp is the only kind of tom yum that uses nam prik pao, okay? If you're making tom yum chicken, tom yum fish, anything else, we do not add it because this is also kind of a shrimpy flavored ingredient. If you don't have it, you still can make a tom yum goong without it. It will taste quite different, but it'll still be fine. It'll be like, you know, you making a tom yum chicken, but with shrimp as the protein instead. So I'll include modifications in the written recipe. The chili paste, before we add it to the soup, it's very thick and it's hard to mix into the soup. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some of our broth and loosen the chili paste so that when we add it, it mixes easier. If you just spoon the chili paste directly into the soup, then it'll take forever for you to try to dissolve it. There we go. And that's that. All right, it's been 5 minutes. It's smelling really good now. I'm going to now season our soup with first fish sauce and then the nam prik pao. I am not adding the sugar yet because some brands of nam prik pao, like this one, I find is very sweet and sometimes you really don't need any more. So I'll leave that for final adjustments. And the lime juice is also going to go at the end when we're done because we don't want to cook the lime juice to retain the best flavor. Now, I'm going to turn this up on high now to bring it back to a boil so that we can add our goongs. It's boiling now. The goongs now go in. And these take so little time, like even though these are quite big, it will take like 30 seconds of being in the heat, and then I can turn off the heat and the residual heat will keep the shrimp cooking. You do not want to overcook shrimp, especially I'm using this cast iron pot. It retains heat for so long. So you got to kind of factor all these things in. So 30 seconds in the broth, it's going to be halfway done and we'll turn it off and it will finish cooking with the heat off. By the way, this is a light soup, right? But if you prefer a richer, creamier tom yum, I do have a tom yum goong nam khon, which is the creamy version of tom yum. You can check that out below. I really, really like that one as well. So it's kind of a toss-up which one is better. You should definitely check out both. Okay, let's turn this off. Whew. The goongs look good. I'm gonna now go in with the lime juice. This looks like a lot of lime juice and it might freak you out like, whoa, that's a lot. But this is a soup that should lead with sour. This should be the main flavor. If it's leading with salty, if it's leading with sweet, that is not the right tom yum flavor profile, okay? Whew, and you add it and it just smells correct. Time to taste, and then we'll see if we need to add that little bit of sugar. The flavor of home. Oh man, I'm gonna cry. It's perfect. I don't need that sugar because this brand of nam prik pao is quite sweet, but you might, okay? So when you taste, does it lead with sour? It should. And is the sweet just there to balance? Like if you taste it and it feels like, oh, that's like it's too sour, the sourness is too sharp, you probably need that little bit of sugar to help soften the edge. Also, tom yum is a soup that's supposed to be eaten with rice, so it should taste stronger on its own. Like, this is not a soup that you like sit with a bowl of and just eat on its own. But if that's what you're gonna do with it, then you might need to thin it out with some hot water. So if it feels just overall too strong, you can dilute it with hot water. So the seasoning stage is very, very important. I'm gonna finish it off with some chopped cilantro. If you don't like cilantro, you can also do green onions. And by the way, I get a lot of questions about tomatoes. Like, oh, don't you put tomatoes? You can put tomatoes. Tomatoes is one of those like optional ingredient that some people add, some people don't add. So if you want tomatoes in your soup, you can add tomatoes. I would add it with the shrimp so they don't completely disintegrate. All right. Let me now show you what a lot of people don't know, and that is how to eat a tom yum soup like a Thai. In Thailand, we do not serve things in courses. Everything is served all together, family style. So you never have a Thai soup on its own. And if you've ever been to a Thai restaurant and they bring you your soup as its own course before the rest of the meal, know that they're only doing that because that's what a Western clientele would expect. And they don't have time to be teaching you how to eat Thai soup like a Thai. And guess what? I have time to teach you how to eat Thai soup like a Thai, so that's what I'm going to do. By the way, noodle soups is a separate discussion. It's not part of a family style meal. That's a one-dish meal, so we're only talking about soups with no noodles in them. Okay, so a typical Thai meal, you would not have tom yum by itself. It's usually one of a few things on the table. It could be as simple as a Thai omelette. And in fact, if you're going to make one thing to go with your tom yum, highly recommend it to be a Thai omelette. It is a match made in heaven. I have a recipe I'll link to below. You might also have a simple vegetable stir fry like this cabbage fish sauce stir fry. But it could really be any number of things, and tom yum would be one of the things. You will always have rice in front of you, and everything is served with rice. So your tom yum will be in a small personal soup bowl, and it comes from like a big bowl in the center. And you can start with your tom yum, because it's always nice to start with soup. And then you'd go and you'd have a couple of bites of everything else. So you want to have some omelette. Take a bite of the omelette by itself, or you can, which is what I love to do, pour a little tom yum broth on your omelette and your rice. This is why I love to have these two together. It's so yummy. And then you can have some cabbage, go back to the soup to wash everything down, and then you just, rotate. Or you can also, if you want, put a little bit of rice in the soup bowl itself. You can do that. And then you eat it sort of like a rice soup. And this is why we flavor tom yum to be quite strong, because rarely is it just like a bowl of it on its own, right? That's good too. That's good too. So lots of different ways to do it. You can also, if you want to turn this into a one-dish meal, make some tom yum, put some rice noodles into it, and then eat it like a rice noodle soup. You can do that too. Since it's here, let me just have some cabbage fish sauce stir fry, aka the most delicious cabbage in the world. Then we have some of that shrimp. Perfectly cooked. Not rubbery. That is from turning it off before it's fully cooked. Man, this is like being in Thailand. This is exactly the kind of thing you'd have at home. Everything is very simple, but all work together so incredibly well. And that is it. And now the next time you go to a Thai restaurant, you can ask for your soup to be brought out with your meal, because you now know how to eat it like a Thai. The recipe, as always, will be on hotthaikitchen.com, along with all the questions that you might have that I didn't answer in this video, so definitely check that out in the description below. A special thanks to all of our Patreon members who help support the show, and thank you as always for watching, and I will see you next time. สวัสดีค่ะ